What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. Now it's getting around that time of year where all these pro anglers are going to start posting their top 5 baits to fish with, and in truth a lot of those baits are catered towards their sponsorships or they're catered towards forward facing sonar. Most fishermen don't even have forward facing sonar, let alone a boat. I know I don't myself, so I figured it'd be a perfect opportunity for me to give you guys my top 5 baits to fish for the period of spawn, pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn, all that good stuff. I'll cover everything, and these are the top 5 baits that you can just kind of toss around, really start to find fish, and hopefully string together a bag. It's really all just, dependent on you, the fisherman, and how you can pick the bait and how you work the bait to get the bite. So don't go coming to me running in the comments like, hey man, I used that bait and I didn't catch anything. I can't make you catch a fish, all right? The only thing I can do is put you onto the baits that I'm using to catch fish. All these baits are baits that I actually go out, fish with from the bank, pond fishing, kayak fishing, lake fishing, river fishing, and I catch a ton of fish, guys. So if you don't believe me, make sure you're staying tuned into the channel because I'm going to have actually some full videos of me fishing with all the stuff I'm about to show you guys and me catching fish with them. So it'll kind of help you learn maybe what I'm doing, maybe small little tips and tricks, as well as maybe just getting to watch me fish with them and know that they actually work. So yeah, let's jump right into today's video, guys. Now, if I sound a bit sick, I'm going to be honest, it's extremely windy out there. My allergies are killing me. But the first bait that I'm going to give you guys is a jerkbait, and you're going to want to keep this tied on from pre-spawn to post-spawn, and especially on those windy days. But a jerkbait can be really effective. It has a lot of draw power, so even when you're fishing on bed, you can use it as a way to find fish, like figure out where they're at on bed, maybe draw them out. They'll chase the jerkbait. They'll follow it up, and they'll even nip it sometimes, so just be ready for them to swipe it, and you can maybe lean into them and set the hook. But a lot of the times, like I said, you're just going to use it as a way to find fish and find out where they're bedding, because they'll chase it, they'll follow it up, and then they'll just go right back to their bed. And then you can kind of go back through there with a soft plastic or something that I'm about to show you guys and catch a fish. So yeah, you're going to want to have a jerkbait tied on, guys. I've got it paired up with my new ducket rod that I'm trying out in my arsenal. It's a 610 medium. Got it paired up with 10-pound Berkley Vanish fluorocarbon, and it's already caught us some big fish. I've got a full video coming out on it soon, so make sure you're staying tuned for that. But I don't know if I'd give you guys any other recommendations on what jerkbait to throw, just because I'm not a professional jerkbait fisherman. I'm not a pro at it. I've only recently started getting into it, and I'm trying to get better. So yeah, definitely want to have a jerkbait tied on, though, from pre-spawn to post-spawn. It's a really effective bait to have, and even throughout the summer. I mean, a jerkbait is just one of those things you could probably catch fish on almost year-round with, so yeah. I prefer having the X-Wrap, though, because it sits and suspends right there in the middle of the water column, and it kind of helps you find those fish when they chase and follow it up. They'll sit there in the middle of the water and stare at it sometimes. Kind of lets you know like how big the fish is, where it is, and it also kind of tells you the temperament of the fish, because if it's really aggressive, it'll just swipe at your jerkbait. So now that we've used the jerkbait to locate and find fish, whether it be the pre-spawn or the post-spawn period when they're chasing bait fish, or in that spawn period when they're on bed, they've actually followed your jerkbait up and then they swim back to the bed, you're going to need a soft plastic to go through and clean that fish up. So now we're going to kind of talk about a little bit more bed fishing, and one of the best bed fishing baits that you can throw is some sort of a drop shot. So right here I've got just a Bubba shot, a power shot, whatever you want to call it, and you can throw a Berkley Gilly on there. You could throw a robo worm on there. I know this is really popular, or you can go with something that's become extremely popular more so this year, which is Three Brothers Baits loaded dice. You can pick these up on Shields, Dick's Sporting Goods, or just straight from the website at threebrothersbaits.com. These things are legit though, guys. I think they're amazing on a drop shot. You could throw it on just a single wacky rig hook, and they also have 2 different sizes, so you could throw like a 1/0 VMC weedless Nico hook and throw it on their larger size and catch a whole bunch of fish. But the colors, they stand out. Really good for bed fishing, guys. Again, you could throw it on a drop shot, wacky hook, really whatever you want, and probably catch a whole lot of fish on bed. So definitely a great presentation to throw, some sort of a creature bait, some sort of a bluegill presentation, something that looks like a craw. Obviously, the loaded dice, they're their own thing. They stand out from the crowd, but sometimes that's what really gets you bit. And if drop shotting or wacky rigging isn't really your thing and they're not interested in the suspended bite, well then I'd recommend you tie on a Ned Rig. So right here's a 1/4 ounce Strike King Ned Rig, and then a Strike King Rage Bug, which honestly I think that's probably one of the best baits that you can tie on. I've already made a short video about this, so if you've seen that, you probably have some tips from there. But yeah, you're just going to want to pair them up and just park it on the bed. Let it sit there as long as possible. That fish is going to eventually just pick it up and move it. And because the profile is so small, the presentation is all downsized, compact, you're going to definitely get a hook in his mouth because he's going to have to pick up the whole thing to move it. So yeah, it's a really good idea and a really good way to catch fish if you feel like they're short striking a bigger bait, or if you feel like, they're not interested again in that suspended bite when you're trying to do a drop shot or a slow fall with the wacky rig. Sometimes those fish just want something on the bottom or on their bed. They feel like it's eating their eggs, or maybe it's just in their space. I don't know what it is, but if you park a Ned Rig on the bed long enough, they'll eventually just move it and you'll get bit that way. So yeah, definitely recommend having a 1/4 ounce Ned Rig. I don't know what it is about a 1/4 ounce as well. Seems like in the bedding season, they just really like a 1/4 ounce weight. So just get it in your head when you're bed fishing, 1/4 ounce, 1/4 ounce, 1/4 ounce. And yeah, and some of the colors I'd recommend, obviously, is just going to be natural colors again. Bluegill and crawfish style presentations. Watermelon red's really popular. Alabama craw's a really good one. And then green pumpkin works well for me just because I think it's a natural color. So the fish, you know, obviously when they're looking at it, they think it's more realistic and they're more likely to actually want to bite it, because these fish are not interested in eating, guys. They're interested in spawning, bedding, and protecting their beds. So if they're coming for your bait, it's to move it away because they think it's literally a threat. That's the only reason, guys. A lot of baits work in this season that I'm about to show you guys, and I think also creature baits more specifically that we're about to get to here in a minute that I think work really effectively as well. All right, now that I've shown you guys some of the more downsized finesse baits that I throw for the spawn period, let's jump into some of the more power fishing stuff. The first bait that I'm going to give you guys for power fishing, I think, is going to be a Texas rig, just because you got to have a Texas rig tied on pretty much year round, but in the springtime, really seems like it excels. I've got a Bronco bug paired up on it, 1/4 ounce tungsten weight, and a 4/0 Gamakatsu hook, and 15-pound fluorocarbon. Yeah, you could pretty much throw whatever kind of creature bait you want. You could throw a sweet beaver, you could throw a bandito bug, you could throw probably a lizard, you could throw literally anything that you want that would sit on a fish's bed and be a threat. Obviously, it's going to be completely weedless, so if those fish are bedding in areas of grass or cover, it's going to help you get in and out of those areas of cover pretty easily. So definitely recommend having a Texas rig. But if you are in those really heavy cover areas where you just keep getting snagged up in wood, or maybe you're fishing cypress trees or something like that, or maybe it's just more of a transitional period and it's not so much bedding season, then I suggest going with some sort of a jig. This works great on a bed, don't get me wrong. Same way that you would throw the Texas rig, you just flip, pitch it, let it sit on the bed, shake it, really get those fish angry, make it feel like it's being threatening. But in terms of what I would throw, swim jig, 3/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce little finesse jig, or a 1/2 ounce structure or flipping kind of jig. That's pretty much all you're going to need from the spawn, pre-spawn to post-spawn. And really, I don't throw this too much in those post-spawn periods. In the pre-spawn periods. I throw them more in spawn and post-spawn period all the way through summer. So really, a jig is a great lure to throw almost year-round. Actually, I think it is pretty much like one of those all-terrain year-round baits in my personal opinion, and it's also my favorite bait to throw. But yeah, definitely going to want to have a jig. Go with the more downsized profile if you feel like they keep nipping at the skirt or the appendages. Maybe consider trimming your skirt, adding a smaller trailer, or again, just go with a more downsized package. It's going to be the exact same thing as the Ned rig. They're going to get the whole thing in their mouth, so whenever they go to move this off of their bed, you're actually going to get a hookup. I don't know. That's just my experience, guys. Also for trailers, you can put whatever you want. Again, I've got a bandito bug here on the back that I made myself. This guy right here has a Strike King little menace grub, and yeah, I think those work phenomenally at catching fish on bed. All right, I know I've technically already given you guys 5, but I'm kind of considering the Ned rig and the Dropshot together as one, and the jig and the Texas rig together as one. So you're going to use the Texas rig maybe in a little bit more open water situations, and then you're going to want to throw the jig in heavier cover situations. But now let's get into bait number 4, or what I would consider bait number 4, which is going to be some sort of a topwater, guys. More specifically, a buzzbait. In the pre-spawn and post-spawn, you're going to want to have a buzzbait tied on in those transitional periods, especially when it's really windy. But let's say it's that bedding period, and those fish are obviously not going to be chasing or interested in your buzzbait whatsoever. Actually, they might be more scared of it. You're going to want to pick up something like, let's see, this right here. A topwater frog. This right here is a topwater popping frog more specifically, and it's just a black bottom and black top. Everything's black on there and blue. I think that's going to stand out whenever you're talking about bed fishing. Obviously for you as a angler to be able to see it, and then also for the fish to be able to see it, and it looks more like a bluegill than anything. Pick up some sort of a frog, a popping frog or a walking frog, really whatever you want, but I prefer a popping frog just because you can pop it and really let it sit in place. A walking frog, you kind of have to walk him a little bit, and then when you stop, there's still a little bit of a sway there. I don't know. Everything is up shallow, everything is spawning, so there's going to be a ton of frogs just naturally on the bank, especially if it's raining. Guys, pick up a frog, you're going to get a ton of bites. You're going to be like, dude, he was right. But yeah, Definitely recommend some sort of a frog. You could go with a walking frog. I prefer the popping frog just because you can also walk it and do whatever else you would want to do. Whether it be a buzzbait, a topwater popping frog, or a walking frog, that's up to you to decide. It also helps you cover all your bases, so you've got your suspending baits, your ripping baits, your search baits, your bottom contact baits, and obviously now you've got your topwater. Lastly, for bait number 5, which is technically bait number 8 because I paired the Ned Rig and the Dropshot together, the Texas Rig, the jig together, and the buzzbait and the frog together, I really just want to give you guys some options. Anyways, bait number 5, guys, it's the best for last and the biggest. We've got a swim bait. This right here is a swim bait that was sent to me in the mail that I tried out fishing on the channel and I wasn't able to catch anything, but the truth is, guys, is whenever you're fishing a swim bait, you're going to go those periods where you're just not going to catch a fish for maybe 2-3 days. And then you're going to go out like I did and make a cast, and on your first cast you're going to land like a 2 something, maybe more. So yeah, I'll run the footage of that right now for you guys to check out. What's up, guys? We are out here today throwing around these big old handing swim baits that we got in the mail a few months ago. I don't really feel like I got the best opportunity to fish it just because the water was really shallow when I was throwing them around, and it really just wasn't the time or season it felt like. But now it's springtime. Throwing a big swim bait is definitely the move, and the waters are pretty full because we've got tons of rainfall. So hopefully I can catch a big fish on this big old swim bait. Who knows though, guys? We're gonna throw it around, see what happens. Oh, we got a tank. Yep, we got us a tank. That was only a few casts in, and we got us a tank. Well, not as big as I thought, but definitely a good one. That was only like 2 or 3 casts in. Let's go, guys. That was literally like 3rd cast on the swim bait. It's a nice like two and some change. It's like a really nice football fish. All right, scale, clip, 2-pounder on the money. 2-pounder to start the day throwing around a swim bait. Nice, let's go. Anyways, that was pretty satisfying to finally catch a fish on a swim bait like this. Really, I don't have a lot of big fishing swim bait stuff on the channel, and I don't have a lot of, swim bait experience. I want to get better at it though, so I'm going to keep it tight on my deck for this year, and we're going to see what happens, guys. That's pretty much all top 5 baits that I got for you guys for the spawn, spring, pre-spawn, post-spawn, whatever you want to call it, guys. I promise you guys, if y'all keep these baits tied on from when the weather starts warming in that pre-spawn period all the way through, I mean, you could fish these baits all the way through to the end of summer. The big swim baits, the buzz baits, the topwater frogs, the Texas Rig, jig, drop shot. Oh, another thing to mention is that the swim bait works very effectively at drawing those fish off of the bed, and it also looks very realistic. Guys, the goal for spring is realism. Frogs, swim baits, jerk baits, bluegill imitations, crawfish imitations, stuff that looks like a threat or that looks realistic enough to be a threat. And yeah, I think that's what the swim bait does. Large profile, obviously it looks realistic again, but beyond that, guys, it has a lot of draw power, very similar to that jerkbait. It really gets those fish interested, really gets them to come up off that bed and follow it up at least, and maybe you could find out where the fish are and go back through with the cleanup method, throw a soft plastic, a jig, a drop shot, and catch that fish. So guys, thank y'all for tuning in as always. Make sure y'all click that like button, subscribe. If y'all want to see me fish some of these baits, catch fish on them to prove they actually work, I'm going to have some full videos coming out here in the future, so make sure you're hitting that notification bell to stay following along for that, and drop me a comment down below with any questions that y'all might have. I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Anyways, guys, y'all know how we're rocking. Keep it cool, and happy fishing.